We're back. All right, we're back. It is the Vegas Take. Brian Feldman sitting in for Brian Shapiro and J.D. Sharp today here on the Vegas Take KDWN, and that is 101.5 FM, 720 AM. We're here for about another 27 minutes or so, and we are going to be talking in just a second to Michael Babcock with TMZ Sports, a couple of interesting topics that I want to hit him up with. And again, the NFL draft going on right now. If you haven't heard, the Raiders with their first pick took Cleveland Farrell. He is the defensive end from Clemson. The guy is pretty solid. If you're not familiar with him, check out some of his takes. Go Google the guy, Cleveland Farrell. That's Clelin, and it's 38 tackles, 21 sacks in the last two seasons the guy can play. Joining us now is Michael Babcock with TMZ Sports. Michael, what's up? Brian Feldman is pinch hitting today, and that's me, by the way. I don't know why I'm speaking in third person for Brian Shapiro and J.D. Sharp. Welcome to the show, man. Always following TMZ. You guys do a great job. You break things before everyone else, and we're talking Tyreek Hill again, aren't we?
Yeah. Hey, Brian, how are you? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You make it easy on me by having the same name.
Yeah, right. Brian, there's just I used to think it was unique, man. Now it's like every other person.
Well, you're talking to a Michael, so.
Right.
I know the feeling. Yeah, Tyreek Hill. It's absolutely amazing. People were really surprised earlier this week when the district attorney in Kansas essentially said that a crime had been committed, in their opinion, against this 3-year-old boy, but they just didn't know who was the perpetrator of that crime, and that's why they couldn't bring charges against Tyreek or the mother of his child. And then today, when this blockbuster tape comes out, obviously it shocks people. And the night of the NFL draft, and everybody, the football world, all staring at the NFL and staring at the Chiefs and wondering what they're going to do, because clearly they were very decisive, with Kareem Hunt. And in a lot of people's eyes, I think that this is a worse situation. So a lot of people are wondering, will they be decisive again?
Well, they were definitely clear. It came out finally that 100% the voice on the tape, which I don't think anyone really doubted it, was Tyreek Hill. And calling his fiancée, Crystal Espino, some superlatives we'll leave off the air. Not very friendly when she was accusing him, and he was saying, the boy says a lot of things, never did really admit to it. But it definitely doesn't bode well. And as you said, they were very decisive in terminating their relationship with Kareem Hunt. I got to believe that they're going to do the same thing with Tyreek Hill. And isn't it ironic when we go to your next story that I want to talk about at TMZ is, man, the Madden cover curse, and what a time for that curse to put Patrick Mahomes on the cover of Madden when they're losing all their players. It's like, you know what, let's put Patrick on because it'll just keep the curse going.
Well, it's, look at the moves that the Chiefs made earlier this week, making a big trade, bolstering their defense, and I think it's very clear that of any team in the NFL right now that the Chiefs are in win now mode. And it's just really shocking, because if you could get inside their brains, Brian, they don't want to part with Tyreek Hill.
Not a chance.
It's just are they going to be forced to now? And in the wake of Kareem Hunt, they reacted decisively, like we said. But once time passed, I get the feeling, talking to some people, that they a little part of them regrets cutting him and now seeing him with the Browns. It's so fascinating. What's going to happen here? You have a team that could have been in the Super Bowl this past season, and one of the favorites to win it this year. And now, are they going to lose their explosive playmaker here? And yes, the Madden curse. I hope Patrick Mahomes doesn't get hurt. Let's just say that.
He is Michael Babcock, TMZ Sports. You're listening to the Vegas Take. I'm Brian Feldman, pinch hitting again for Shapiro and Sharp. Before I let that go, I will say this, and I'll make an emphatic statement, and you can disagree or agree with Michael. Here's the deal: we know the value of running backs in the NFL. It's big, but then again, Pittsburgh plug and played this year. Running back was not their issue. Okay, that wasn't the problem with the Steelers. I think Kareem Hunt, you can lose. Tyreek Hill is a game changer, is a difference maker, has rare, unique talents. You cannot afford to lose that guy.
I could not agree. I couldn't agree with you more. You can find running backs Tyreek Hill, those don't grow on trees. He's somebody that you're not going to be able to replace. It's just that's the brass tacks of it all. He's irreplaceable. That's why they've got to be pulling out their hair right now. Somebody check on Andy Reid, because this is just the worst possible news that they could have gotten. And it, by the way, nobody's fault but Tyreek Hill. The things that are on that tape are disgusting. And I as hard as this would be for Chiefs fans, and I know because when we put up that Kareem Hunt video, we got so much hate mail, but there are some things that are more important than football. And when you're talking about hitting a woman, possibly like he seems to have threatened on the tape, and hurting a 3-year-old child, football's got to take a backseat.
I can't disagree with you more. I disagree with you more, I should say. I disagree with you less. Put it that way. I agree 100% that the Chiefs. Andy Reid put it this way: we're going to learn how Andy Reid deals with stress when you see him on the sidelines come September. You're either going to see the guy weighing 500 pounds if he's a stress eater, or you're going to see Andy Reid down to $147 if he starves himself when he stresses out. Because there is no question stress is going to be attached to Andy Reid. You got to be scratching his head. And then again, on top of it, if he's superstitious, to have Mahomes on the cover of Madden, it's like, please, not right now. I finally get this team, finally have a team that can make the Super Bowl. And again, he's going to have that stigmatism, just can't get past it. One other thing I want to talk about before I let you go, Michael, is, we talk a lot about sports with TMZ, but you guys are talking NFL draft day fashion. The swag's out. I mean, come on, man. I am trying to be as objective as I can. That might be one of the most hideous suits I've ever seen on Kyler Murray in my life. Am I wrong?
You didn't like it. You didn't like it.
Oh, come on. I mean, if it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I'll give him some props, but it's not.
As a guy who likes pink, I got to admit,
I wear pink shirts, but it's like it's not the shirt. The pink is white. The shirt's white. Everything else is pink.
It's so funny that these guys, I love the draft, aside from all the excitement of the draft, obviously, you just really get to see their personalities. It's become such a thing that we live streamed these guys walking onto the bus to go to the red carpet of the draft just so we could kind of see the draft fashion. It's become a time for these guys to kind of flex and to kind of, show a little swag, and it's fun. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter that weren't fans of the suit.
No, Nick Bosa looks like a Hollywood celebrity. I mean, granted, it's a very plain-looking suit. He could be going to work at at one of the mortgage companies in town. But in the same respect,
he looks great. He looks sharp.
He looks sharp. It's fitted. It's subtle. And the thing is the best player in the draft went second. That's all.
I'm a Giants fan. I'm still trying to wrap my head around
Daniel Jones. I was surprised. I really thought that I did think the Giants might take a quarterback. On my little mock draft, I had them taking Rashawn Gary out of Michigan. I did. I thought that would be a good pick. I mean, he's got tons of potential. His college stats weren't great, but I love this kid. For the defensive side, you do need a quarterback. You do got to look at replacing Eli. I just don't know. I mean, a lot of people felt Drew Lock was the better quarterback when you look at him, or even Haskins, but Daniel Jones from Duke, right?
I see. You're right. Jones as the fourth quarterback on a lot of people's boards. There was so much defensive talent. I thought when the Raiders made the little bit of the puzzling pick, I thought for sure then Josh Allen falls to 6, and I was like, we got Josh Allen. The Giants got Josh Allen, and it just shocked me. So surprising, but Jones is essentially like the fourth Manning brother. There are so many ties to the Manning family with him, so he's a lot like Eli Manning. But God, that shocked me, Brian.
Oh, come on, you're 100% right. Josh Allen, this is a game changer. This is a future. Now, granted, it's the NFL, which does stand for not for long. But if this dude stays healthy, Josh Allen is a flipping beast. At Kentucky last season, 14 sacks. 18 and a half tackles for loss. This guy is a difference maker. He is a disruptor. I thought the Raiders were going to take him, to be honest with you. I was shocked at Cleveland Farrell. And then he falls. How do the Giants let the Jacksonville Jaguars defense get better? Don't they have enough down there?
That's it. I mean, look, Tom Coughlin, who won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, as soon as they pass on him, knowing how important a defensive line is, he scooped them up. I knew right when the Giants passed on him, I said he's a Jacksonville Jaguar. That's he's a strong offensive and defensive lines. That's Tom Coughlin's philosophy, and puzzling. But I hope Dave Gettleman knows what he's doing.
Yeah, well, the draft every year, if you're honest, it's puzzling every year with certain things. I'm still scratching my head. The Detroit Lions, who, by the way, TMZ, you guys ought to do a story or talk about this, because the one thing that's left out, somebody just mentioned, they were talking about, how inept Detroit teams are. The Detroit Pistons just gave us another beautiful, dubious record in Detroit, 14 straight playoff losses. It's beautiful. Well, I don't understand how the Detroit Lions go. I mean, I'm granting you, Hawkinson has all the makings of a stud tight end, but so did a guy that they drafted a couple of years ago that's now in Indianapolis making noise. And now another tight end. I shake my head with what the Detroit Lions are doing, getting another tight end. What is the thought process on that one and the other one, the Cincinnati Bengals? I just don't get it. I mean, you got to replace the red water pistol at some point in time. I mean,
sure.
you just do.
But with the tight end, you hear him being compared to Rob Gronkowski.
I know.
And, speaking of Giants, you hear Mark Bravaro's name being thrown around.
I was excited about Eric Ebron. I was excited about Ebron, and I'm not buying into another tight end.
And look, he's had Ebron had some success last year, but no, I hear you. It's hard to get excited about an inline blocking tight end. I'm with you, but look, if he's Rob Gronkowski, then you look back at this and if you're a Lions fan and you say it was a great pick.
I'm not going to disagree. I would have rather gone the guy that I put down that would go 20th to the Steelers, although they made a trade in the draft. I had him going 21st to the Seahawks. I love Greedy Williams. This guy is so fast. He's so big. I was praying that the Lions would just go get some defensive backfield help. They were not terrible last year, shored up, but they didn't. I'll leave the draft alone. I'm beating things into the glue factory today. I've got like 3 horses right now in line to go to Elmer's. What I want to ask you about before I let you go, Michael, what's coming up? Give me something breaking on TMZ Sports the next day, or something you're looking to we're going to find.
Well, we're in Nashville, so we're talking to all the players. We're talking to their families, but we're going to be all over the Tyreek Hill thing. So, hopefully we'll be talking to some people with the Chiefs and some people in the NFL and try to get a grasp of, how things will proceed going forward. So Tyreek Hill is obviously going to be the story that people care about going forward over the next couple of days.
I'll be reading about it. He's Michael Babcock from TMZ Sports. I just want one thing on my end, Michael. Know this right off the get-go. I didn't do it. Whatever it is, I didn't do it, okay? I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Michael, appreciate you. I'm going to have to get in touch with you. We got to get you on my show on Fox on Sunday mornings, man. Really like the stuff.
Give
good
me a
stuff.
Call. Whenever you want. Give me a call. Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate you, my friend. Again, Michael Babcock, TMZ Sports. And, the bottom line is a lot of times, as a sports fan, we don't love the players. We don't love some of the stories that TMZ reports. We want to believe that they're false. We want to believe it's kind of like the Star or the National Enquirer. Trust me, it's not. TMZ, they do it. They spend the money. They get the most pertinent, most up-to-date stories there is. And usually when TMZ breaks a story, take it to the bank, people. Listen, we'll run out to the phone lines real quick, and you too can give us a call. A few more minutes to take calls. 702-257-5396, the KDWN studio line. We're going to talk to Charles right now, who's online. What's going on, Charles?
Yes, a basketball question, a hockey question. If the Golden State Warriors keep winning, is that going to hurt the game? I mean, people just get bored, same old team wins. And on hockey, there's always been this controversy of Cuban baseball players coming in. If the Russian players coming in were sanctioned or weren't allowed to come in and play, do you think would that have a substantial impact on hockey or just sort of a minor blip?
Well, I think in hockey, there were years when you think about it, Charles, that the Russians couldn't play over here in the United States. We weren't getting foreign players from certain not a third world country, but from certain countries on the other side of the world. But the point is, that's all changed now. Would it impact the game? Absolutely. Whenever you take away the best players in the world, like a guy like Alex Ovechkin, say, you're going to hurt. But realistically, I think the game of hockey would go on and it will prevail. As far as the NBA goes, I'm tired of the Golden State Warriors. I don't know about you, Charles. I'm tired of them. But they play an unselfish, really cool style of basketball. I just like seeing diversity. I like seeing different teams win. But then again, they are a lot of fun to watch. You've got 6 guys on a team 1 through 6, that are all former or current NBA All-Stars. It's hard to get tired of watching that, but yeah, I would like to at least think, Charles, that another team had a shot. And I can't look at any team in the NBA and say they have a chance of beating the Golden State Warriors in a 7-game series. Not one team. The one team that everyone just keeps passing up is the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference. They talk about the Celtics, they talk about the Toronto Raptors, and those are very viable conversations. But why are they overlooking the Milwaukee Bucks when they had the best record in the Eastern Conference, one of the best records in the NBA, and in my opinion, the most electrifying player in the National Basketball Association right now? Giannis is unbelievable.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting analysis. And finally, I kind of touched on it. If Cuban baseball players were blocked or sanctioned, is that substantial for baseball or less of an impact than like the Russians in hockey?
I think a very similar impact. I think you have a lot of great players that are coming out of Cuba. We've seen that. And I think that, I think you want to be able to absorb and get in the best talent at every professional sport that you can in the top leagues in the world. And they're here in the United States when it comes to the 4 majors, our 4 majors anyways. And yeah, I think that whenever you are eliminating a country of their players coming, there could be 1 or 2 people that you never get to see that were the greatest ever. I mean, we saw those great Russian hockey teams of the past in the Olympics in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and none of those guys, I can't imagine seeing a goalie like Tretiak and what he would have done playing in the United States. How good would he have been? Now in Russia, I mean, he'll go down as the greatest goalie ever in their opinion. He might have been. We will never know. So those things are sad, and I hope going forward that we are able to get talent from all over the world. So yes.
Yeah, I think they need a Moscow hockey team in the NHL, and I think they need a Cuban baseball team in Major League Baseball.
Hey, why not?
It would open the thing up.
Why not? They sure, you have Canadian teams in hockey and baseball and basketball. It's another country. Why not? I'm not disagreeing with you whatsoever. I like the call. Appreciate the call, Charles. Thank you. And we got Fernando's on the phone, right? Fernando? Hey, what's going on, Fernando?
Hey, Brian. Good show. I'll go to Mike's team. I went to every home game this year, and this year's team was just an average team. We came in 3rd place in the division, 5th place in the conference, and fast forward to the playoffs. Yes, it was a terrible call by the refs, but the refs didn't change the series. We choked. We were up 3-1 at home, and we couldn't close them out. And with this bad call, we had Fleury, the Hall of Fame goaltender. He couldn't stop the puck, and our defense was weak. So enough of the crying. It's not the ref's fault. It's the Knights' fault.
Fernando, I got to ask you something, though. I mean, the Golden Knights in Game 6. Now, let me tell you something. First of all, they earned 7 games. So when you get to the 7th game, you can't say, well, they should have closed it out earlier. Game 5, there was a little bit of a letdown. I'm not going to disagree with that, but simply the Golden Knights had just won 3 straight games, and in the back of all their minds, whether anyone's ever going to admit to this, the one thing they hadn't done, and they still haven't, is win a playoff series at home. So in the back of their minds, if we lose Game 5, we get to give our fans Game 6 and win home. Then they come to T-Mobile Arena and take 60 shots at a guy who is average on his best night, Martin Jones, and he becomes the most impermeable goaltender I've ever seen for 3 periods of hockey. And yet, you look at his career, that guy didn't do that in Pee Wee hockey. So you can't blame the Golden Knights when they shoot the puck 60 times and only put it in once and lose in double overtime. And then in this game, they were winning it handily. To say that call didn't change it again, I agree you got to kill off the penalty, but watching that game and watching the different reactions of the 2 benches, the Sharks and the Golden Knights were 2 different teams. You're looking at a team that looked like a mortar just went off on their bench, and you're looking at a team that looked like they just won the lottery on the other bench. 2 completely different dynamics, and it definitely changed the game. Now, granted, there were plenty of other opportunities. They did get it to overtime, and they could have won it there. And in overtime, they came close to losing a bunch of times. They also came close to winning. But I can't say that this call did not impact everything, because it did, because people keep forgetting. The Golden Knights earned 7 games. They won 3 straight. They didn't let down. Only Game 5 and Game 1 would I consider a little bit of a letdown. In the other 4 games, the other 5 games, they played tremendously. They just came up on the losing end.
Well, I mean, Knights Nation or the Knights fans, we just have to suck it up, man up, step it up, and just go forward and let it go.
I agree with you, brother. I will put my crying towel away. Like I said, I feel like I got broken up with by a girl I really like. That's the best way, the analogy I can feel inside. I'm never allowed to express emotions at games. I can't cheer. I'm up in the press box. I got to sit on my hands. And
Okay.
I pull for the team, though. And like I said, I wouldn't have cared, Fernando, if the Golden Knights lost by 10 goals. I would have thought, wow, that was pretty crappy, but they lost by 10 goals. I just didn't want to see him, and I don't think anyways. You don't want to see him go out this way. You just
All
don't.
right. Hey, have a good night. Thanks.
You too. Appreciate the call, Fernando. This is the Vegas Take. Once again, I'm Brian Feldman, pinch hitting today for Brian Shapiro and JD Sharp. They will be back in studio with you tomorrow. Another great show, and that is from 6 to 8 p.m. every night right here at 101.5 FM and 720 AM. We got a few minutes left in the show. And wrapping it up, we can talk a little bit more about the NBA playoffs if you want, something I haven't touched a great deal on yet. But the NBA playoffs are exciting. They're fun. But, you know, we had a caller a few minutes ago that had a really good point. And it's, are the Golden State Warriors making the NBA boring? Is it happening? Is it happening for you? Are you tuning out because you feel that every game except for the Golden State Warriors is meaningless? I want to know. I'm interested to hear that because they take some on the chin, and it seems sometimes they take nights off. But the bottom line is, this is an all-star team. And it's an all-star team with a couple of the best players in the whole league on their team, in Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, as good as it gets. And then you add Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Boogie Cousins, who's hurt, Andre Iguodala. Are you kidding me? Listen to that lineup. It sounds like I am talking about an all-star team, which I am. So, yes, it is going to be very hard to upseat them. The Toronto Raptors are a lot of fun to watch. Kawhi Leonard is starting to play his best basketball right now and as gifted as anybody in the National Basketball Association. Do they have enough in Toronto to win the East? Yes, to win the East, they do. I don't think they will. I really think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to win the East, and no one agrees with me. No one. Everyone says it'll be Boston. It'll be Philadelphia. It'll be, it's going to be Toronto. And they're all viable. I'm not saying you're wrong. But how are you discounting the team that won the East? How are you discounting an NBA player that is, to me, the most electrifying, most dynamic player to watch in the league? Give me somebody who you enjoy watching more than Giannis. Tell me, who do you like watching more than this guy? Have you watched him? Have you watched this guy? Have you watched his game? Have you watched him bring the ball up the floor? Have you watched him play defense? I mean, this guy does it all. It doesn't matter what you ask him to do. He does it all. He is the heart and soul and the backbone of the Milwaukee Bucks, and he is one of the faces of the National Basketball Association. So when the Milwaukee Bucks play the Golden State Warriors and lose in 5 games in the NBA Finals, you can say that you heard it here right first. And also, I on the NHL, too, I want to get to the playoffs, the NHL one more time. As let me look final now. Wow. The Boston Bruins did end up beating the Columbus Blue Jackets. It took overtime, but they won 3-2 in that game. And right now, in the second period, it's tied up. The Stars and the Blues are tied at 1 goal apiece. 2 tremendous series right now. And I'll tell you what, the Sharks-Avalanche series, what Dan Duva said, watch out for the Avalanche. I think the Vegas Golden Knights matched up well against the Avalanche, even though they've had a lot of success against the Knights. The Sharks do not. The Avalanche are skating very, very well right now. And they're playing as good as hockey as anybody. I think that series is going to be 5 games, Colorado. I really do. I think the Hurricanes and the Islanders are going to be a better series than people expect. But I do think New York comes out on top. I already told you I like the Blues on one side. And I was saying the Blue Jackets are going to beat the Bruins, but I don't know. I think if you really looked at this and broke it down, the Bruins are probably the best of the 8 teams remaining, in my opinion. People might argue the Bruins. I think the Boston Bruins, Tuukka Rask right now, with all the experience that guy has, this is a team you need to fear. And the Boston Bruins are a team that could win the Stanley Cup, but I'm still going to stick with the St. Louis Blues. And going back to the NFL draft right now, let me see if I can refresh and give you a few more picks here. For those of you not watching, if you're driving, and I'll run down what we've got so far if you haven't heard it before we go. Kyler Murray did go first, the quarterback out of Oklahoma, Heisman Trophy winner to the Arizona Cardinals as expected. Nick Bosa, in my opinion, the top player I would take in the draft. Yes, he had an injury that ended his high school career early. Yes, he had an injury that ended his college career early. early, and those injuries do correlate. But Nick Bosa, the upside is unbelievable. This guy has a motor that doesn't quit. He is a difference maker, and if he stays healthy, which I think he will do overall in his career, wow, you're going to talk about a guy that is, in my opinion, he's going to end up being better than Joey. That's how good I think Nick is. Quinnen Williams, another very solid pick. New York Jets fans, they've got to be thrilled. He went third in the draft pick. This is one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL draft in a while. He's going to be amazing out of Alabama. And Cleveland Farrell, as I mentioned, a shocker for the Raiders. I had him going 22nd. He went 4th. He's an edge guy. He's an edge rusher. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody to try to replace Khalil Mack. The guy's huge, 6'4", not so big weight, a little bit undersized weight-wise at 264, but extremely fast, extremely agile, and extremely long. And that might bode well for the Raiders. I hope for their sake it does. Devin White went 5th to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a linebacker out of LSU. As disruptive as they come, this guy is going to be as solid as can be. Daniel Jones, another surprise pick, a quarterback. He is 6'5", about 220 out of Duke. Decent. I'm really surprised with that pick as well. I thought he was my 4th quarterback I had rated in the draft, and he goes number 6 to the Giants. Scratch your head, but like we just heard from Michael Babcock said it, and I think J.D. Sharp said it as well. There's ties to the Manning family, so who knows if that has something to do with it. And Josh Allen went next, as we talked about. Wow, Jacksonville gets better. One of, my opinion, the best edge rusher in the draft out of Kentucky. T.J. Hawkinson to the Lions. Ed Oliver to the Buffalo Bills. Devin Bush to the Steelers in a trade. Jonah Williams to the Bengals. Rashawn Gary to the Green Bay Packers. Christian Wilkins to the Miami Dolphins. Chris Lindstrom. Listen, we're out of time. Go watch the draft. I'm Brian Feldman. It has been my pleasure riding along with you in your car today or sitting in your house. This is the Vegas Take, 6 to 8 here on KDWN, Monday through Friday. Sharp and Shapiro back in studio tomorrow. Hey, maybe I'll be back one day. Check me out Sunday mornings, Fox Sports Radio, and that is at 8 o'clock on Sunday mornings. The show's called Out of Line. It's been my pleasure. I want to thank Ken, the producer, for doing a great job pushing the buttons back there. Thank all my guests, Dan Duva, Alan Snell, Michael Babcock, and, of course, J.D. Sharp. Thanks to the callers. We'll see ya.